They can't stand on their own 2 feet. They need money, other people's money, which is why they want to get into the European Union at any cost and as soon as possible. They don't care that they would also bring the war with them. They don't care that they would ruin the farmers. They don't care that we would become a thoroughfare for the Ukrainian mob, of the Ukrainian mafia.
Because let's be clear. Let's see things clearly. Let's be clear. Ukraine is fighting, and that is a heroic thing. But Ukraine is fighting for itself. Ukraine is not fighting for us. Yeah, no one has attacked us. So we have no obligation whatsoever. Yeah, neither legal nor moral to do anything. We have no obligation, but we do have a task. And that task is this. We must stay out now of this war. We must protect Hungary. And we must protect the Hungarian people. And dear friends, for 3 years now, we have been fighting every single day to make sure that we are not dragged into this war. But this fight is not over yet. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, is doing everything he can for peace. Meanwhile, the people in Brussels are doing everything they can to prevent Donald Trump, to prevent the success of peace negotiations. They are doing everything to prolong the war. And why is all this happening? Because the longer the war lasts, the later the Brussels political elite will have to face responsibility for their own failed strategy, which has caused harm and trouble for Europe. But that moment will come as well. The problem is that until then, thousands are dying, and a country is being destroyed. But, dear friends, our most important task right now is this: to support the peace efforts of President Donald Trump and to stay out of the war. But my friends, but just as the fighting hasn't ended, neither has the madness. Now they've come up with the idea of forcing Ukraine into the European Union, us into the war, and the Ukrainians into the European Union, a country that in no way, in no aspect is prepared for European Union membership. I've been sitting among the European Union foreign ministers for almost 11 years now. Whenever we talk about the enlargement of the European Union, I've always heard merit-based process. Is there a single person thinking with common sense who believes that Ukraine is in a better state today than our Western Balkan friends who have been waiting for membership for 15 years? Is Ukraine in a better state than Serbia, Montenegro, North Macedonia, or even Albania? And I think the answer is clear. Ukraine is the most corrupt country in Europe at war. It is a country from which hundreds of thousands of workers would flood the Hungarian labor market if we let them into the European Union. And we would become a gateway for the Ukrainian mafia. Thank you, Brussels, but this is not what we want. And meanwhile, there is still more madness here, because now they want to turn the most physical issue in the world, our energy supply, into a political and ideological question. Maybe we're old-fashioned, but the world is still at a stage where you can only get gas and oil from where there's a pipeline. A Tesco bag or a sports bag is still not a suitable means of transport. So expecting energy carriers from places where, to use the technical term, there's no pipeline, is, to put it mildly, an illusion. And what do they want from us? They want us to cut off the country's previously reliable and cheap energy supply and replace it with something much more uncertain and much more expensive. No, we will not allow it. We will not let Hungarian people pay twice as much for utilities as they do now. They want to force a puppet government on Hungary as well. A puppet government that doesn't care about sovereignty, that only wants to carry out Brussels' will. The most pathetic conversations I have before the meetings of the Foreign Ministers' Council happen like this. Several of the others come over to me whispering, Peter, you're going to be tough again today, right? Peter, are you going to veto it today too? Peter, you're going to speak against it again today, right? And I say, yes, Peter is going to veto again today. Peter still speaks out against it today.
Today, Ukraine's EU membership is the greatest danger. I understand them. Their country has been ruined. Even before the war, the whole of Ukraine was a bankrupt mess. Even more so now, during and after the war. They can't stand on their own 2 feet. They need money, other people's money, which is why they want to get into the European Union at any cost and as soon as possible. They don't care that they would also bring the war with them. They don't care that they would ruin the farmers. They don't care that we would become a thoroughfare for the Ukrainian mob or the Ukrainian mafia. But we Hungarians do care. We don't want to be dragged into their war. We don't want our farmers to be ruined. We don't want the safest country in Europe to be turned into a mafia den. And we don't want Hungarian money to end up with them through Brussels. No, no, and no. My friends, this is what the series of Ukrainian secret service operations organized against Hungary is about. This is what the smear campaign against Hungary funded from abroad is about. And this is why Brussels wants to force the pro-Ukrainian Tisa-Dobrev coalition upon us. Ukrainian membership might be good for the West, but it would be bad for us. They get the coffee. We're left with the grounds. We are the ones living next door. It's our borders that will be stormed. They will take our jobs and our money will go there. We must resist, and I promise you we will resist. My friends, so let's take a few sentences to talk about what our chances are. It's certain that in Brussels and Kyiv, they are betting against us. And what kind of thing is it, my friends, that so-called civil organizations funded from abroad are constantly working against the Hungarians? What does it mean to run a warm propaganda network against your own country? In America, they put an end to this. It's time for us to follow the Americans. Political debate, yes. Freedom of speech, yes. Foreign money, no. Anyone involved in politics should not be allowed to receive money from abroad.